Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our reading of this pretty radical feminist book, and the title is like really long, but it's called The Sexual Revolution in Summation: Modern Fascism and the Feminist Fight Back by Laurie Penny. And I do believe she's a racist towards white people, and she really does hate straight men, and she's definitely got some rage going on, which makes an interesting read nonetheless, but definitely not someone who's spiritually sound, in my opinion. Let's continue. Alright, so we were here. To put it another way, women and queer people, particularly women and queer people of color, look how niche her topics are. Queer people of color, like really small groups of people, right? Are simply refusing to be held hostage to male fragility. Held hostage to male fragility. Basically, it's a fancy way of saying that you want to be sterile and not have a family. They're refusing in numbers to be, too big to ignore. Sure. As economist and journalist Paul Manson observes in his work Clear Bright Future, anti-feminism is now a key recruiting ground for the new right. A phenomenon Mason traces back to... Anti-feminism is a recruiting ground for the new right. Yeah, I mean, we don't want to be barren. We don't want to be eating edibles and being like Chelsea Handler and glorifying anti-child behavior. So if that makes us part of the conservative right, then so be it. See, what we have to get over as Muslims is these labels of you're this, you're right, you're conservative. It's like not a boogie word if you just get over it, right? A liberal is more of a dirty word to me. It wasn't 10 years ago. I really, liberals back in the day, they were like about anti-GMO, taking on Monsanto. They were like totally different, but they've switched because of the Antifa radical progressive movement that's taken over, and they've gone into the positions on social media to silence their opposition and to shadow ban, derank, use bot armies and all that. They're playing a new type of warfare. But liberals before were just sassy and you could argue with them and they were just really tough mentally. Now you've gotten into the very weird, bizarre expressions of them. So when they say anti-feminism is part of the alt-right, they're trying to make you seem like you're a domestic terrorist for not being a feminist. You see how they play these games? It's a language war. And then the quote here says, the reversal of male biological power. Let me pause right there. Why did they say male biological power? Because they want to attack men but exclude trans men. Right? They want to say biology matters with the male biological power, but if a tranny is like, if a girl cuts off her tits and she's like, I'm a dude now, and grows a fugly beard and does, gets a crafted fake penis, they don't want to include that white woman who became a white man in this group of patriarchy. That's how you know they're so fake. So if a woman takes some pills to grow a beard, gets all this deep voice, removes her boobs, takes out her cervix, and then says, I'm a man, and she turns out to be a white man, she would be a part of this group they're attacking. But then they turn around and say, male biological power. So the woman who cuts her tits off to look like a man isn't part of the male power because it's not biological. So if you were to say to them, trans men are men, and they're supposed to be included in here, they'd say no. But then they turn around with their full hypocrisy and say, trans women are women. So think about this. This is how messed up they are in their ideology. If a woman cuts off her tits, grows a beard, and is white, that individual is part of the patriarchy and then would be suppressing and oppressing a man who's black and cuts his dick off, becomes a eunuch, gets some plastic tits, and is claiming to be a woman. Do you see how it... You see? So it doesn't matter which way you go. They just want to have someone as the victim. It's really quite crazy. So their infighting and self-eating is going to come up more and more because the nicher it gets, the more fractured it gets, the more compartmentalized it gets. You'll see each different wing fighting with each other. It's really interesting. So the reversal of male biological power through birth control and equal rights legislation that took place during the last decades of the 20th century. So this person is contending that birth control and equal rights legislation help to make people turn against the patriarchy and birth the feminist movement, and then now there's the anti-feminist movement, which does make a little bit of sense. But let's see what else they say, because they're probably going to insert some nonsense here. Turn that down a little bit, it's a little hot. In the 50 years following the rollout of the contraceptive pill, developed world society has experienced what Federal Reserve Chief Janet Yellen called a reproductive shock. The results do not come anywhere close to women's liberation, but the basic assumption behind misogyny that women are destined to stick to their biological determined role as childbearers and unpaid domestic workers has been blown to smithereens. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Look how they degrade women by saying that they are champions of women. Child bearers. So they automatically put the child as a negative burden. There's no love, compassion, mercy, or gratitude, thankfulness, spirituality in the way they view precious, adorable babies. And that's how they're so dangerous for women. Because their hearts are not in tune with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Being a mom, and you see your beautiful little baby shining eyes looking back at you, their tiny little precious hands holding your finger, you snuggle with them, you tend for them, you grow with them. That is so precious. Way more rewarding than, making 2% profits increasing regularly for a boss. It's just not the same fulfillment. Do you know how difficult it is to give birth? Okay? Like when I had my baby was 10 pounds 3 ounces. I had to be cut open in order to have my baby and nurse her. The pain, the blood, the tears, the sweat is all worth it. To reduce that whole struggle down to childbearing is absurd. It is a beautiful, divine struggle. A noble struggle. And tending to a dying cat is not the same as tending to a newborn. Or a newborn who's not doing so well. Okay? Unpaid domestic workers. Okay. That's what they're trying to slander us stay-at-home moms with. Domestic is in the house. Unpaid. You are incurring good deeds for Judgment Day. Not everything has to be with a fiat currency label. We are getting paid with memories, with time, and our reward for sacrificing and being with our children is gonna have the biggest profit in paradise. We have to believe that as Muslim women. Alright? This life is super short. I literally feel like yesterday I was 16. Now I'm in my 30s. Time is zooming by, and when you have children and you watch them grow, you simultaneously realize that as they grow, we grow older. So, money is not the end-all be-all, but for a feminist, it is. They are addicted to materialism. They want to get plastic surgery, they want to get their nails done, their hair done. They need to spend an hour getting ready. Super vain, very hedonistic, just lots of attachment to material items. Okay? And so, that's why they try to focus on money. They are money worshippers. They see value in terms of currency. You're not important and valuable if you don't have money. And you're a loser if you don't have money. And to say unpaid domestic workers is a trickery type of term, because they're trying to make a mom who's spending time with her baby say, you should be getting paid. Now, if the government, who's heavily patriotic and religious, wants to pay women to have babies, that's a cool program. But to sit here and say, being a mom is unpaid work, I don't need your $400, $500 a month. No, I'm paid with something much more beneficial than money. And there's no excuses in 2023 where you can't find something to do online. I mean, come on. If you really want to work that bad, you can start your own little business on Etsy, create your own website. Please. If you got access to Wi-Fi and a smartphone, just shut up already. You got so much stuff. You're just not creative and you want money to fall from the sky and you're lazy. But you don't have to be constantly searching to fill up your bank account, because when you die, you ain't taking it with you. And your kids could honestly spend the money you gave them on nonsense. So in the end, money is not the end-all be-all. Don't let them trick you as a woman and be like, oh, you should be getting paid for taking care of your babies. They're your children, you moron. They're your children. Imagine, I'm not going to take care of my baby unless I get paid. It's like, what? What kind of evil talk is that? Just shut up already and do your job. Your job is to take care of the little ones. Demanding that taxpayers give you money because you had children, unless it's a super patriotic nation, it's just absurd. That's like saying that your husband should pay you money to stay home. He's busting his ass trying to help, and you're whining about how you should be paid. No, ask your husband, oh, can I have a little bit of money to go get a foot massage or to do something along that line, right? To sit here and act like, oh, no, we have to get a check every 2 weeks. It's just absurd. Has been blown to smithereens. Alongside these shifts in power relations between men and women, the basic assumptions of heterosexuality and gender identity have also been exploded. See, they're very deeply perverted. That's why when you read this, you gotta really think about Prophet Lot. May Allah be pleased with him. Because they're so focused on having men put things in the butthole of other people. They're obsessed with poo. Think about it for a second. They're obsessed with poo holes. They're championing poopy holes. So that people, when they get older, they're all stretched out. They're just leaking liquid poo out of their butts. Or having to go to the doctor to get stitches. I mean, their obsession with feces is quite gross. It's quite disgusting. Because that's what it is. It's anal worship. You know, I'm going to tell you something real. You may not like it. There was a cultic picture where, if you have kids in a room, mute it, where it had a shaitan. And the shaitan was forcing all the people who were going to follow him to get on their knees and put their mouth upon his brown star, as they say. And that was part of the initiation, to get people to do that ritual. And if you think about it, the poop hole degradation, the risking of disease, the smell, everything, it's gross. And then when we learn in Islam that some jinns, they like to hang out in the bathroom. And that when we go in the bathroom, we have to, ask Allah for protection from all evil and male and female jinns. And to step in with the left foot, exit with the right. And that there's just this different type of energy in there. You begin to realize, like, there's something going on here spiritually. So the filthiness of these feminists just shows their sexual deviancy. They're obsessed with wanting to tell everybody what they do in the bedroom. They don't like to be private and live their life. They're so hedonistic. They just constantly think about poo. Just constantly think about that. And making other people see what it is they're doing. It's quite disgusting. And gender identity. No, there's two. And that's it. But see, they got so much time on their hands that they want to play around with everything and swap it out like it's a jigsaw reversed. It's quite insane. Alright, my little one's awake. We're already at the 16-minute mark. I hope you enjoyed. A lot to think about here. But this is their agenda with their own text. So stop letting them gaslight you and mock you and say, oh, it's not real, that's not true. They're literally writing about it. You just gotta take the time to read it and debunk it. I hope you're doing well. If you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Supports the channel, and I post some interesting things on there. Take care, and stay away from feminists.